Well, hi everyone, and welcome to the Infinity Futures Daily Trading video. My name is Raleigh White, and I'm here to talk to you about the trades we took in our live trading room on Thursday, October 23rd, 2014. Well, looking at today's economic calendar, you can see there were a number of things on the schedule that we needed to be aware of. At 7:30, we had unemployment claims data being released, and it came in higher with 283,000 new jobless claims being filed versus an estimate of 269,000. Then at 8 o'clock, we had the house price index data being released, which came in slightly higher at 0.5% versus a forecast of 0.4%. Then at 8:45, we had the flash manufacturing PMI data being released, and it came in lower with a value of 56.2 versus an estimate of 57.2. Then at 9 o'clock, we had the Conference Board leading index data being released, which came out in line with expectations at 0.8%. And then at 9:30, we had the natural gas storage data being released, and it was a bit lower with 94 billion cubic feet in storage versus an estimate of 97 billion cubic feet. We also noted that today was the first day of the European Union Economic Summit. Now, as far as our pre-market sentiment was concerned, things were somewhat mixed coming into the open. Now, the Asian markets had closed lower after China economic data was released. Sentiment essentially in Asia was souring after the China factory output dropped to 7 to 5 month lows on slowing growth. As a result, we saw that the Shanghai market was off 1 full percentage point, and Hong Kong was down 0.3 of a point, as lower crude oil prices were also leading a sell-off in the energy sector. The Japanese Nikkei also sold off today. It was down 0.4 of a point, as a strong yen was depressing optimism over a positive October factory report that showed that manufacturing grew at its fastest pace in 7 months. As far as the European markets are concerned, they were open but trending lower despite upbeat economic news. Now, the Eurozone composite PMI surprised many people with a value of 52.2 for October versus a forecast versus 52.0 in September. Now, these gains were capped by a share drop at Tesco and Unilever on an earnings miss and on weak forward guidance. We also saw that the energy and mining sectors were remaining under pressure on falling crude oil and metals pricing. As far as the United States is concerned, Wall Street did figure to open up higher on strong corporate earnings. Now, the futures were up coming into the open despite the lower global markets after robust earnings and outlook from Caterpillar in the third quarter. We also see that Microsoft, Amazon, Altera, Southwestern Energy, and Deckers, among others, are all scheduled to report after the closing bell today, and the focus for many U.S. investors would be on the flash manufacturing PMI report, which is due out at 8:45, natural gas storage, and on ongoing third quarter corporate results. As far as our trading activity is concerned, I attempted only 2 entries in the market and had no fills in any of our markets. In just a moment, I want to share with you some of the things that I saw. But before I do that, I do need to remind everyone of this following important disclaimer, and that is that trading futures involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. You should carefully consider whether trading is suitable for you in light of your circumstances, knowledge, and financial resources, as you may lose all or more of your initial investment. And always remember that past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Well, turning to the charts, let's begin here with the E-mini Dow market, and you can see after the open of the trading session, we had several bars moving higher as prices moved up through the previous day's high, and we started a bullish trend here. And what I was waiting for was an opportunity to trade a retracement, and we saw that right here. We had one green bar with the RSI above 70, and then this bar retraced, and I was hoping it was going to retrace down to 16,601 and give me an entry right above the previous day's high, but it came within maybe 4 or 5 ticks of my fill before turning around, and I had to take this trade out. I also saw an opportunity in the crude oil market. And looking at this market, we can see that as we got into the trading session, we had 1, 2 bars moving lower, followed by 1 bar retracing, and I was hoping that this second bar here was going to retrace up to the upper Bollinger Band and give me a short entry at 81.90, but it never really came close to my entry, and I had to pull this trade out of the market. So as far as the trading session was concerned, I had 2 attempts and no fills, and I was planning on coming back and taking a look at the markets after the lunch period, and I did see an opportunity in crude oil. To look at that opportunity, I want to shift my charts and bring up my point and figure chart. Now, this is the micro view of the crude oil market using a 2x3 point and figure chart. This gray highlighted area is the period of time from 12:30 to 1:30, and I drew this black line here because this is 125. And the reason why I drew this here is I tend to look at crude oil in the last 5 minutes before the close of the crude oil pits, which occurs at 1:30 Central Time. And so as prices, are bouncing around and coming close to the end of the crude oil session, I bracket this market, and I had established 81.94 as an area of support and 82.12 as an area of resistance. And the idea here is after 125, if in fact prices move up into the area of resistance, more often than not, they are going to plow through this level, or if they drop down to the area of support, they're going to attack and plow through that level. So right here about 128, I had a long entry in the market at 82.12 and a short entry at 81.94. Well, we can see here that the market came up and it filled me at 82.12. It moved 4 ticks in my direction and then backed up, moved about 3 ticks away from me, and then moved 5 ticks in my direction. When it moved 5 ticks in my direction, I moved my stop loss to break even, and then I trailed the market by 5 ticks. And I honestly thought after this little reversal here that this market was going to push right up here into my full profit target, but went exactly 5 ticks and turned around and knocked me out for a scratch trade before moving all the way against me here. So I'm glad I moved my stop loss. I saved myself a 10-tick loss, but nonetheless got out at even. So just to recap today, 3 attempts and 1 fill. The 1 fill I had here was in crude oil in the afternoon, and that was a scratch trade, and I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of opportunities might present themselves tomorrow. Well, looking at tomorrow's economic calendar, you can see that we have a pretty light day, although we do have a key report out here at 9 o'clock, which is the new home sales report. This is a major report and definitely has the potential to move the market, so we'll keep our eye out on that. The next thing that I did see here is we have the second day of the European Union Economic Summit, and there's always the possibility that there could be some unscheduled news flow coming from this meeting. So I'm hoping that tomorrow, collectively or singularly as a result of these events, that we could see some opportunity to trade the markets, and I'm looking forward to those chances. So with that, thank you so much for watching today's daily video. I wish you a pleasant evening and look forward to speaking to you tomorrow. Take care and good night.